One of the things we're passionate about is helping people grow. We like to see people win, right?
We do. If you are a realtor, if you are a current landlord, if you are an aspiring landlord,
Hopefully they tune in because there's major benefits to listening.
this is a proven system.
You can add these things to your lease or things of that nature. We're gonna be talking about what to expect the first year of owning your rental property. This is a great time for me to insert my pro tip. If you, at any point in time, you say, I need them to pay rent to pay my mortgage, do not get in the game. Be mentally prepared to handle when things don't go the way that you plan them to go. Hello and welcome. This is the Navigate Property Management Show. I'm Ernesto.
And I'm Judy. And together, we have managed over 500 million in real estate transactions, 2,500 rental properties,
Right.
and over 5,000 turnovers.
This is episode 6.
6.
We're recording episode 6. This
Yes.
is the Navigate Property Management Show. What an introduction, by the way. We've decided to insert the introduction when we
did.
talk about how much real estate we've managed, turnovers, and things of that nature. Can you tell us why? Why is that important for us to communicate?
Because we want you to know why you should listen to us.
That's one reason.
That's one reason.
Yeah.
No, I think
Validate, right?
validation.
Validate,
Anytime somebody jumps on YouTube or in front of a room, I always want to know, have you actually done this? How many times have you done this? How long have you been doing this? And how successful have you been?
Honestly, I feel like my gray hair helps. I don't really have to say anything. Just I've lived a long life.
Right.
Avoid these mistakes.
Right. I did it for you. He did it for you.
And really, we want to highlight what we've done. This is opinions, right? Philosophy in many ways, right? But these
True.
are proven systems over time.
Yes.
Time over time. Repetition.
I think that's really the main thing that we're trying to encourage anyone that's listening, is that this is a proven system. We have done this enough times to be able to say, do this, don't do that. Don't do that, really don't do that, definitely do that. That's worked well over and over, and we've seen that fail over and over, and those are the numbers.
One of the things we're passionate about is helping people grow. We like to see people win, right?
We do.
In an effort to do that, we share our failures. But one of the things we highlight, for example, is we talk about 5,000 turnovers. Depending on what the episode is, we also talk about 7,000 turnovers. Leases. And the reason that we say, hey, we've done 7,000 leases, so that these things are proven, we've done it over and over again.
Yes.
You can add these things to your lease or things of that nature so that it helps our potential landlords in the future.
In a nutshell, we've worked with a lot of people, and we've worked with a lot of houses.
Yes.
We've seen lots of people, lots of houses, lots of renters. We are no longer real estate newbies.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about what to expect the first year of owning your rental property. Judy, who is this episode for? Who should be listening? Who should these people be sharing this episode with?
I'm trying to tell them.
Tell them.
Tell the people.
Look at the camera and tell them.
If you are a realtor, if you are a current landlord, if you are an aspiring landlord,
Yes.
this episode is for you.
Aspiring. That was the word I've been trying to look for this entire time. That's good. I'm glad. And hopefully they tune in because there's major benefits to listening, okay? This is the best show on YouTube. I've said that
The best
multiple times.
property management show.
No, it's the best show.
Okay.
Tell us about your first rental property. Where do we find it? How do we get it? This is part of owning or experiencing the ownership aspect of your first rental property over the first year. So obviously you have to find the property. So
That is point number one. Find the
is?
property. I said that I knew what our first rental property was. Disclaimer, we bought 3 properties, boom, 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 and I was super pregnant. Remind me, which one was it? 19th Street?
Yes.
19th Street. We found this property through a friend of ours that was selling off-market properties, right?
Yeah.
She was finding properties that were off-market. She found this one. The reason she reached out to us first was because years back, the very first property that she ever got under contract, I got to help her sell to an investor. That was a flip. She'd always told me, if I find a bomb rental, because we don't really do flips that often anymore, I'll let you know. And she found a great little rental here in Plano, Texas.
Yes, it was a duplex.
It was a duplex.
Right? The unique thing about this property was it was owned by a hoarder. Rat infested.
That's right.
Had a roof leak. It was a grand slam of a deal.
It was.
We will record a video where we explain why this was a deal for us in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
now we're
you
able
gotta
to see
see
it
this.
in hindsight.
So that was our first rental property.
You got to be able to find your property. A lot of times you get caught up in trying to find the perfect deal. And one of the things we learned is just get in there.
I have a secret. There's no such thing as a perfect deal. There's no
But
such
there
thing.
is such thing as a perfect wife.
I would like to meet her.
Ba-dum-tsh.
You're right. People get caught up in, that's not quite, I was hoping for more of, well, what about like buy it, learn how to use it, and keep going.
I just want everybody to know if they want to take a deeper dive on this particular first rental property that we purchased, we will make a video of it. So that's the first thing is you got to find a good deal, right?
You do.
So ask your local realtors, get on Facebook pages and get out there.
Yeah. Start being with the people who are finding houses, seeing houses, buying houses. And I would say too, even for realtors especially, when you're working with an investor, one of the most profitable things, or one of the ways you can make yourself most valuable to an investor is to have houses.
Yes.
Like have a network that your investor doesn't already have, because most likely they have a full-time job. If your full-time job is being a realtor, get out there and find the houses that maybe you wouldn't typically see just listed online.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Also find them before they're sold. Don't send them.
Listen, there's many ways to find deals. This is not the video for that. We just want to lay out what the expectation is when your property, the first year.
Right.
The first year.
The first year. We're talking about property acquisition and the different things you need to be aware of when you go to purchase your first property. Just a couple of points that I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on.
Right.
Initial costs. Make sure you know how much money you're going to bring to the table to close. What's it going to cost to close? How much is my title going to be? What am I going to pay for taxes?
Closing costs.
Closing costs, yeah. Is there anything that I would have to repair before a resident moves in? Just those straight upfront costs before you ever even get it leased.
Yes.
The second thing that I would highly recommend that anyone look into is legal requirements. Can you have a rental here? Is it in an HOA that already has a maximum number of rentals? What's going on with the city? Do you have to register with the city? How do you pay your taxes?
Where do you go to pay your taxes?
Where do you gotta pay your tax? Not so funny story, right? One of our clients purchased a property that actually was in an area where they paid both the city directly and the school directly and the county directly for property taxes. I had no idea. Like, how weird. But the only place that we could go to see that that's how it was done was on the closing documents.
Wow.
So make sure you know the legalities of what's going on.
Good job, Judy. What's the third one?
The third one is insurance.
Insurance.
This is very important.
You're setting us up for success right now, so
I am.
I'm excited.
So important. We're going to do a whole video on this eventually. But make sure that you have the right kind of insurance for your home. It's not just homeowners. You need to make sure you have some extra coverage as a landlord.
The proper coverage.
The proper coverage, right? Extra doesn't mean more. Just make sure it's right.
Yeah, and take this video sort of like a checklist. You're not going to get all the answers like, this is what you're looking. Obviously, there may be other videos that you can reference, but we just want to give you sort of a checklist to kind of help you mentally prepare.
Checklist. We could actually put some of these main points into a checklist just to, if you want it.
PDF it.
PDF it.
Number 2 is manage your anxiety. That's the big one for me, and what I want people to learn, right? Like my brother, he just finds investment real estate so like sexy and like I want to get into whatever, and I'm like, okay, purchase a rental property. He's like, yeah, but like 17 different reasons not to. That's another video. 17 reasons not to purchase a rental property. But you got to manage your anxiety. You have to know more likely you're not going to make any money the first year. That's just a reality because you're either going to renovate the property, you got to deal with how long you're holding it while it's vacant. Listen, the first year of you owning a rental property, you're probably going to end up in the negative. So that's the thing. You have to properly manage your expectations when you come in, knowing that this is a long-term investment. You will reap the benefits 3, 5, 7, 10, and even the longer you hold it, and that's how you benefit off having a rental property, is understanding the market trends and growing areas. In DFW, where we own our rental properties, we've been able to benefit from appreciation. Yeah.
One of the reasons, and I get that question a lot, should I continue to invest in DFW? Why? I'm thinking about over here, whatever. I don't know why you would not continue to invest here in DFW. Dallas-Fort Worth has one of the nation's most consistent and highest appreciation rates year over year, like literally forever. For the last 10 years, the average appreciation rate in Dallas-Fort Worth has been 12%. Ernesto, tell us what appreciation means.
Growing in value.
That's right. Your property grows in value just because what is called a real asset. It's real, it's tangible, it's on land that you most of the time own.
Right.
If you own the property, it's real. It continues to grow in value just by sitting there.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. That is point number 2. That's a strong point number 2.
Okay, property acquisition and setup, anxiety, learn to manage your anxiety. Talk to other people that have done real estate and believe them.
So point number 3, we've titled it property management.
How appropriate.
Not,
Bet you didn't know that was coming.
so point number 3 is hire a property manager. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. He's not kidding. Do it if it works, but
Yeah,
our point is,
if it fits your goals, what you're after, because you're exchanging not just knowledge, but time and execution. So it really depends on what your long-term goal. The big thing is preparing yourself to manage the overall property.
understand the property, understand property code, know what lease you're going to use, know how you're going to list the property for lease,
HOA,
be so aware,
be very
hyper aware, vigilant.
There are major HOA restrictions, like a certain amount of rentals. So they'd be like, oh, you can't rent it out, but you can put your property on a waiting list. And now you're like, what do I do with this property?
How do I?
Just be aware of that. And they do switch up the rules. I don't know how they decide who's going to be grandfathered and blah, blah, blah. So very important. And also the city, certain areas, they're like no rental properties.
Right.
There's just a lot going on. So make sure to look those things up before you pull the trigger and understand certain areas to avoid.
I am going to do a separate video on how to make sure that the property that you're purchasing can be used for the purpose that you intend it for, including HOA stuff, because you need to know that. Realtors, you need to know that. We'll do that later, and I'm going to make sure we do that pretty soon because that is so important.
You know what? This video is just giving us more ideas for videos,
It is,
which
like
is good.
The things like, I mean, think about it. We've had owners purchase a property. They're so excited, first rental property, and then they come over to bring it to us to manage, and we're like, did you know that this HOA, and they had to sell it. They had to turn around and resell it.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. So under property management, also develop protocols, understand how to handle managers, have your list of vendors, who you're going to call out there, HVAC, plumbing, et cetera, et cetera. Because obviously the goal is retention. You want to retain your residents. So as a landlord, you want to be prepared to have your emergency response team.
Yes. You know, I think one of the things that would be extremely helpful for a first-time investor, if you're going to landlord yourself or manage the property yourself, is to have a set of expectations that you write for yourself, and you also let your resident know. If you reach out to me via text, you can know that I'm going to respond to you within this amount of time.
Yeah.
If you have an emergency, this is how I need you to reach out to me.
Put together a little playbook.
Yeah, a little playbook for yourself so that you know how to handle things that could come up instead of it feeling like, oh my goodness, right?
Things that come up, come up, come up.
So if you do decide that you aren't going to manage yourself and you're going to work with a property management company, go to our video. We'll also put it in the description on 4 keys to finding the right property manager. We can help you with that.
Yes. Point number 4 is financial management.
Plan. You got to plan. You thought you were wrong.
I was like, wait, I thought it was financial management. Financial plan. Well,
Be
financial
prepared.
planning, yeah. Financial planning.
Financial planning. You got to be prepared. So when you go to purchase a rental property, you need to have some sort of a spreadsheet that you're running those numbers through.
Yes.
This is how much I paid for it. This is how much I'm putting down. This is how much it's going to cost me to renovate it. If you're paying a property management company, that's an expense. You need to be able to see all of your income and expenses.
Yes.
Right there in front of you. And then give yourself a buffer. Don't be like, okay, it's going to work out. You know, the numbers barely work, but it's a great investment and I want this house. And like, no, give yourself a little bit of a buffer because you never want that house to be something that you end up having to move into yourself.
Yes.
We've also seen that happen,
Absolutely.
which is not a bad thing, honestly. It's a house. A house is a house.
A house is a house.
A house is a house is a house.
This is a great time for me to insert my pro tip.
Pro tip!
Pro tip. Guys, listen. This is serious, heart to heart. There's something I got to talk to my fellow investors. This is serious.
I'm a fellow investor. I'm here for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
If you cannot afford to pay your mortgage completely with no income for at least 3 months, if you at any point in time you say, I need them to pay rent to pay my mortgage, do not get in the game. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
So you got to have a reserve. You got to be prepared. You got to have that liquid to be mentally prepared to handle when things don't go the way that you planned them to go. And one of our rental properties, we got scammed. They gave us fake IDs and all of these different things, and we let them move in. Listen, and our landlords get to benefit. That was our fault. We did on our rental property.
It was a while back.
Long time ago. They were raising pit bulls in our rental house, and literally like 4 months in, I think they paid the first 2 months of rent, and then it was a process to get them out. So please be wise, learn from my mistake, our mistake, be financially prepared to handle a hit. At least 3 months. And I don't want to discourage anybody to not purchase rental properties, but I do want you to be prepared. Okay, and it is rare to have to evict somebody, but when it happens, and it hurt.
I would say even like feeling like you're living month to month on the rent from your resident, that would be so anxious. I mean, I guess that's probably why a lot of people are anxious, but that would cause a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
To be like, oh my goodness, I hope they pay on the first. Have they paid yet? Can you drop it off at my house? I need to put it in the bank so I can go pay my mortgage. Like, you don't need that. If that's where you're at, give it a little time, save up a few extra grand, and then be able to go into this prepared. Because, I mean, everybody knows finances cause stress across the board.
Yeah, hardship.
Yeah.
For sure.
Relationships, that would be really rough on a marriage relationship, I would think too. If you're like bugging each other about going to get the rent from the resident because
go get the rent. So we got a pro tip. We had a pro tip. Where point number 4 is anything else you wanted to share for point number 4?
There's a lot that goes into that, and we'll do another video.
All right, guys. So that was point number 4, which is the financial
covers it
management, financial planning. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. It takes us a lot of time to work on this stuff. We love doing it. We love building people up. We love sharing our knowledge. We want you guys to learn from us. We're just sharing on how we do it and what it's meant to us. We've had great success doing it this way, and we'll continue to share the knowledge and also share any adjustments that we may make to our systems, our process, and our execution. I hope it's a blessing to you guys, and I hope you walk away with a win. Share with your friends. God bless. Take care. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
See you next time.